Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. Last week I covered A Bug's Life, but I want to remind you what you really need to know about it before I cover the film I'm going to cover today. A Bug's Life was a hit at the box office and with critics, but it wasn't as successful as Toy Story was. So what was Pixar's response? They released a sequel. Originally supposed to be a straight-to-video sequel as a part of that era of animated films, Pixar upgraded the film to a theatrical release, and boy was that the right move. Why? Well, it's time to find out. This is the best Pixar film by far, Toy Story 2. Woody, voiced again by Tom Hanks, is stolen from his home by toy dealer Al McWiggin, played by Wayne Knight, leaving Buzz Lightyear, voiced again by Tim Allen, and the rest of the gang to try and rescue him. But when Woody discovers that he's actually a valuable collectible from a once popular television show called Woody's Roundup and is reunited with his horse Bullseye, Jessie the yodeling cowgirl, voiced by Joan Cusack, and his faithful sidekick, Stinky Pete the Prospector, voiced by Kelsey Grammer, he doesn't want to leave. So if the first film was a buddy comedy, this film is a movie about finding about your past. I love the fact that this movie took this route because it helps give the character of Woody much more development, but we'll talk about that in a moment. So clearly the story is really well done. So yes, the story is better than the original, but how is everything else? Let's find out. As I said earlier, Woody has a lot more development in this film, showing that he was a collectible and he has to juggle whether or not he should be Andy's toy or the leader of his toy line. Buzz establishes himself as a leader in this film as he takes Rex, Slinky, Ham, and Mr. Potato Head on a journey to save Woody, despite getting replaced by a hilarious doppelganger in the second act. As for new characters, Jessie the yodeling cowgirl is really fun to watch. Joan Cusack gives a very energetic performance, and she has a very emotional scene that is extremely well done. And yes, the song they use is perfect, by far. Bullseye is a silent character, but he's still cute and hilarious. I just want to give him a hug. He's also used really well for the climax of the movie. As for villains, we have 3. Al is not really an evil mastermind, but he is very greedy and just nasty with his personality. Zurg is sort of a villain, but he's only established as an antagonist for Buzz Lightyear, yet the battle in the elevator is really cool. And I'm glad there are versions of Zurg like in the TV show and the dark rides at the Disney parks. What about the main villain? Well, Stinky Pete is very menacing, and his plot twist villain antics actually work. His reason for being evil is understandable, and he is by far one of the best villains in the franchise, alongside Lotso in the third film. But we'll talk about Lotso when I talk about the third film. As for the animation, it's much better than the original film. It's crisper, it gives memorable characters, more memorable designs, and many things else. This is why Pixar is one of the best animation studios out there, because it improves on memorable animation. As for the music, Randy Newman comes back for a very memorable score. The opening music, the cleaner, the song with Jessie, the elevator battle, and the climax are all very memorable pieces of music that I find myself recreating in my head whenever I feel like doing so. So, yeah, Toy Story 2 is definitely one of the best sequels ever made, and in my opinion, is Pixar's magnum opus. Definitely check this one out whenever you can. And of course, it gets a 10 out of 10. You've got a friend in this film, for sure. Well, that's it for this review. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and tune in next week when I review Monsters, Inc. With that said, my name is Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.